Good morning, friends, and welcome back to day 4 of Military Marriage Day week. As always, I'm sure you love my morning questions, so can I ask you a question? When you hear the word boundaries, what often comes to mind? And yes, some of you are shaking your heads and maybe eye rolling, but hear me out. For a lot of people, it sounds like walls, or rules, or distance, or maybe even the result of a conflict. Healthy boundaries aren't walls that push people away. They're the guardrails that protect what matters most. Think about driving through the mountains. These long, windy roads are beautiful, but nobody ever looks at the guardrails that keep you from going off the side of the cliff and think those are ruining my freedom. They're just grateful they're there because they keep everyone safe. Healthy boundaries do the same things for our marriages. One of the biggest myths about boundaries is that they're about controlling someone else. They're not. Healthy boundaries are really about communicating what helps us feel respected, safe, and connected. So let's look at a couple of different boundaries. Time, protecting your time together. If we don't intentionally schedule time for our marriage, life will gladly schedule something else. And a lot of times, the military already has a calendar for us, so we shouldn't let it be the only calendar that matters. Communication, especially during arguing. Respecting each other, not name calling, no sarcasm meant to hurt feelings, not trying to win. We're going to treat it like a debate. The facts, only the facts. Relationships. What does it mean to protect your marriage? Um, as all of you know, the cliche in military life is that somebody is going to cheat on somebody else. That's not always true. Actually, sometimes it's a myth. And the way you protect your marriage is talking about your friendships, what you feel comfortable with, what your spouse feels comfortable with. Social media, how how you respond to others, how they respond to you. Is there somebody who kind of crosses the line when it comes to flirtation on posts or pictures? Is it messages through Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok? Is there a moment where you or your spouse is looking at each other's social media feed and wondering, and that person's getting a little too close to the line. Maybe we should set a boundary. And you set the boundary. Let's talk about family. Family boundaries. Yes, two married people bring in laws. And sometimes family might need a boundary. You could have a situation where your service member is coming home and you and your service member want homecoming to be just the two of you. But really, their parents would like it to be all of you plus every extended relative you've never met. These boundaries for relationships are not because you don't trust each other. It's because you value what you've built together. Protecting a marriage is just like protecting a car from the edge of a cliff. It's all about the guardrails. So let's look at finances. Finances during deployment can be one of the most frustrating conversations. The money is a little bit different in different countries. Things could be more or less expensive depending on where you are and what you expect. So have a conversation about finances before deployment. How much is set aside for the bills? How much is set aside for port or War Navy? I don't know what everybody else calls it. Um, the things they need, etc. Those conversations are a guardrail. It protects your fears of finances and avoids a complete disruption of communication in a time where communication is already fragile. So, let me tell you a little story. Have you ever picked up your phone to check one text and then 20 minutes later you're still scrolling? I've done that. There are plenty of times where I've picked up my phone to read a text message, and then somehow I've ended up on Facebook, and then I've ended up on another app, and by the end of it, it's an hour later, and I'm mad because I haven't spent time with my spouse. I would like to say it's not my fault, but let's be fair here. Who really opened the phone? Sometimes our greatest boundary we can create is simply putting the technology away because the person sitting next to us deserves our attention. So tonight, the challenge is pretty simple. I want you to talk about boundaries. What is one thing we could better protect in this season? Is it our time, our communication, our finances, or our relationship? Then work on choosing one small boundary together and make the change. Healthy boundaries aren't about saying no to each other. They're about saying yes to protecting your marriage. And every healthy boundary is another way of saying what we have is worth protecting, and I will always choose you. Well, guys, I will see you tomorrow for day number 5, and I'm looking forward to it. Have a great day.